It's your girl Key Janelle. We'll be using a little products today. We're using Vaseline, all-purpose flour, a cup or a bowl. You want it to be deep and kind of wide for mixing, and a container to store your scar wax in when you're done, and a spatula too. I will be taking 3 scoops of Vaseline and putting it into the cup. We're really trying to achieve the texture of not too sticky and not too dry and crummy. You don't want the wax to stick to your hands, and you don't want the flour particles falling from your fingers. Now I'll be mixing the flour into the mix. As you can see, the flour completely coats the Vaseline, and this is where I begin mixing. As you can see, there is a lot of mixing in this process. The main thing is to achieve the perfect texture. To make scar wax is to keep mixing. Don't be discouraged if after 1 or 2 mixes it doesn't come out the way it's supposed to. You have to have patience and just keep on mixing. After the flour is blended with Vaseline, I want to take out some of the scar wax and test the texture. Okay, notice how the scar wax is sticking to my fingers. You will want to add more flour to the mix, and if it's too dry and crummy and you see flour dust or crumbs falling down, you need to add more Vaseline. But for this case, I need to add more flour. And just a quick reminder, I do recommend using a tool to mix the scar wax. If you use your hands, it'll be very sticky and cause a huge mess. Now that I add more flour, I'm taking out the scar wax again to test the texture. Notice how the wax is not sticking to my fingers. There is no flour falling through my fingers, and there is no dust left on my hands. When I move it, it can bend the way I want it to bend. It doesn't smear and it stays intact. So this is the texture that you want to get when you're making scar wax. It's also like soft dough. Doing my research on YouTube, I never could find a video on how to make scar wax for darker skin color, so I decided to make my own. After I made the scar wax, I decided to put my foundation in the mix. I put 2 drops of my own foundation, which is Too Faced Born This Way Hazelnut foundation, and I started mixing. You want to add a little bit at a time until you get that desired color that you're looking for. You want it to match your own skin tone. You guys can see the first mixture is not to my liking, so I added more foundation to get the color that I'm looking for. So I'm just stirring it and see what that turned out to be. And if I needed more foundation, I will place more foundation in it and start mixing again. Like I told y'all before, it's a lot of mixing happening in this process. If you buy Scar Wax from Amazon or any other store that sells Scar Wax, what you do is when you buy that, you soften up the Scar Wax first. Then you can add your own foundation into it, but you also have to put flour in it so it won't, when you touch the texture, it won't stick all over your fingers and have one big ball of mess. I'm taking out some Scar Wax again to test the texture. Notice how the wax is not sticking to my fingers. Notice how the foundation residue is not left on my hands. When I move it, it can bend the way I want it to bend. It doesn't smear and it stays intact. So this is the texture slash color that I'm going for that matches my skin tone. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Love you. Key game is the best game.